Good morning. Heidi Foy here with Bullfrog Creatives. Also, want to let you guys know that we are live streaming on 3 different platforms for this countdown series and for a lot of the college rodeo coverage or CNFR coverage that you're going to see coming up. So you can be watching on Bullfrog Creatives, the NIRA platform, as well as the official CNFR page, not to be mistaken with all the other random craziness of links that people are posting. So just a little heads up on that. Watch out for those because let's do a quick housekeeping. Just know that the only place that you can watch live stream of the CNFR is ESPN. Don't click on any of those things because I don't know where they go, and that is not College Rodeo or the NIRA. Totally somewhat unrelated to what we have going on here, but I know it's Facebook related, so just watch out for the weird things. And while we're on that subject, there really is only one place to go to get all the live action, and that would be Bullfrog Creatives and these official pages. And there's only one event, so make sure that you guys are clicking in the right stuff. Why and how people are benefiting from creating all the wonkiness, I don't understand, but I know it's a trick, so don't do it. You guys, today we have a prior contestant, now who is a coach and a faculty director. I'm super excited. We have Shelby Rose on, and yeah, you guys, let's get started. Miss Shelby, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm swell. I feel like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off this morning, but we already talked about this off camera. We know, because that's the way things work, when the CNFR gets closer, everything in my real estate career also gets really busy, and I just have to learn how to navigate that. I mean, what are we, like 3 years in?
Yeah.
Still working on navigating that? I don't know. So first, before we talk about like the official, what you're officially doing now, give us just a little bit of a recap, where you went to school, what events you competed in, like what was your involvement as a contestant?
I started out my college career at Garden City with Jim Boy, and then I transferred to Panhandle State, which is where I coach now. I was the student director in 13 through 15, and I really enjoyed my time doing that. So when this opportunity came about, I was super excited to get back on the board. When I was in college, I competed in the team roping and the breakaway. I went once in each event at the college finals, and so that was pretty cool. And now I've been coaching at Panhandle since 2016, and they talked me into being the faculty director, so here I am.
So that's really funny. For those of you guys that don't know, my involvement in college rodeo and the NIRA is that I was the openings coordinator for 9 years, I believe 9 years, about the same time that Roger stepped in as commissioner, Jim Dewey stepped in as arena director, and then I was hired at that same time to be the openings production manager. And so I'm pretty sure it was that same time when you were the student director.
Yep, you were in charge of the openings then.
Yes. And I don't think it's gotten any easier to herd the cats of student directors. Like that opening still is chaos, and we all go to the side of the arena to see if somebody is going to fall off or get bucked off. It's like watching the goat tying in high school.
I think it's that way everywhere. I worked at the NFR for a few years, and the grand entry practice and all that was always the wildest part. So,
okay, perfect. Well, then I feel like I'm right up there with everybody else. Then Sean Davis, all of them.
Yep.
That might be a stretch. Whatever. It's my own dream.
Exactly.
Anyways, so then you moved on to coaching. I guess what is your favorite part then about coaching? Like having been there and being able to share your experience and now helping these kids.
My favorite part about coaching is getting to watch these kids. They change. A lot of them we get for 4 years, some of them only for a couple, but it's fun watching them change so much in that 4 years. They come in and they're, the first time away from home, and they're not really sure who they are. And by the time they graduate, they've kind of turned into their own person, and it's pretty cool. And then even beyond that, it's fun to watch them after. whether they're rodeoing or just life.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's interesting now that you can see that on the other side.
Yeah, you definitely have a different perspective when you sit on this side of the desk rather than the other one. It's kind of funny. Uh,
So yeah, go ahead.
I catch myself laughing a lot at some of the things they do. Like, man, I never would have done that. And then you kind of think back and you're like, oh yeah, we probably
Yeah,
did do that. So it's
I
kind
think
of
I
funny.
did. Yeah, for sure. I've had that same experience because we have kids that keep their horses at our place,
Yep.
and I'm like, what are these kids not learning? Like, why aren't they learning this stuff in high school? So I have to kind of talk my adult self back down to that age. But I do agree, it's been really fun for us. So in Casper we only get to see them typically for 2 years unless they get into an education program with
Yep.
an outside school. Then we'll see them for 4 years. But yeah, I think that would also be my favorite part. And it's really interesting. Um, we talk about it a lot in the high school level about the growth that happens between freshman and senior year, like even freshman, sophomore, the growth between each year, and even more so at the collegiate level because um, it's almost an easier learning curve when you go to college, I feel like, because you still have that like safety net ish when you attend college rather than just going right to the real world and
Yep.
the workload and all of that. So I feel like it's a little bit like you kind of have a learning curve rather than just being dropped to the wolves.
Yeah.
I
I'd
just
have to
explain the
agree.
real world as wolves. I feel like that's realistic. So Shelby, tell me about I guess maybe some highlights for your year as your first year as the faculty director. I mean, what was there anything that happened that you weren't expecting, or was it all pretty much like you knew what was coming, or just kind of run us through a little bit of it?
I guess since I was the student director at one point, I feel like I had a little bit of an idea of what was coming, but I really had no idea how many things you actually have to deal with. Um, you're trying to coach your own kids, and then you have to deal with anything and everything, good and bad. So it was definitely an enlightening experience to me. I guess I'd never been too concerned about the ground and things like that at places, but we had a little trouble, and it's interesting, that's for sure. And you get to see a different side of people when you're the faculty director, I guess, as well. Um,
Yeah,
Good
good
and
and
bad.
bad, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So
Um, yeah, so I'm guessing as a team roper and breakaway roper, you really didn't give two hoots about the ground.
no, not really. And I mean, even as a coach, I guess uh, I don't. We live out here in the Panhandle of Oklahoma where it doesn't rain, and I mean it's raining now, so that's cool. But I don't. I guess that's never been my biggest concern. I mean, it's the same for everybody. Obviously, it's got to be safe. So that part is
Yeah,
where it makes a difference. But yeah, when I was competing, I mean, it didn't really matter what it was because I didn't run barrels.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's talk about some of the kids that you guys are going to be bringing to Casper in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks.
We're bringing a lot of good kids. It was a really uh, tough season as far as the men's and the women's teams competitions went in our region. Fort Scott has an outstanding bunch of young bareback riders and saddle bronc riders, and they won the region for the men's team. So it was pretty fun watching all year long. It was a pretty good battle. And then Southeastern Oklahoma, they've really done a really good job of getting their men's team and their women's team recruited, but they dominated on both ends of the arena. The bareback riding and the steer wrestling were really their strong suits. On the women's side, Southwestern and Northeastern Oklahoma kind of had a pretty good battle all year long, and it came down to the last one to see who was going to win and who was going to be second. But they both have a slew of barrel racers, and then some goat tires and breakaway ropers in between. So it was pretty fun watching that. Our all-around winners, Zane Kilgus, he kind of dominated everything all year long on the men's side, and he goes to school at NEO. And then Bailey Stuva also goes to school at NEO, and she kind of single-handedly uh, got him there. And she's the only girl we have in the all-around, so it was pretty tough. Our points were pretty spread out, so we only have one girl in our all-around.
So that's super interesting. I mean, we just talked to Jade on, what day is it? On Wednesday, about that all around, like how they qualify to compete in the all around or qualify to earn those points in the all around. And you have to earn at least 200 points in an event for those points to count for the all around. So I mean, obviously you have other women that compete in multiple events. It was just
Yep.
that little barrier that kept them from earning those points.
Yeah, we had like 4 other girls that were really close. They needed like 40 points, but none of them were able to get that done.
Man, that's crazy. That's so close. And I mean, I'm just kind of scrolling down, way down. The girls are way down there on the page. I mean, you have like Abby Hepper, for example. I don't know if she does multiple events she's in the barrel racing, but she's got 800 points in the barrel racing.
Yep,
So
and she breakaways, team ropes, and ties goats too. And so
okay,
she was
so great example. I mean, if she already has 800 points in one event,
yeah,
just one other event.
yeah,
like
she just needed one more thing to go her way.
Yeah, just one more good, good. Not even. I mean, what do you got to place? You got to place math points. What do you have to place to get 40 points?
Third.
Yeah. So
Yep.
a couple of anything. Like I think it's super important for our viewers and for our fans to understand like this level of competition and to compete in the all around is really like it's difficult.
Yep. Yeah. It's not an easy task to get there.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, let's talk again about we kind of covered the all around. So one of the interesting things to me, and I still have a really hard time kind of wrapping my mind around it, but also putting myself in the shoes of a coach coming into the college finals now, if you have a team, especially those that are bringing teams. So if you have a team that qualified, how are you picking your team for the CNFR right now?
I would say it's probably the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. We obviously personally didn't have to do it this year, but over the past few years, we've had to do it quite a bit. You can take 6 guys and 4 girls. And it's difficult. You have to take the ones that qualify automatically. If you don't have 6 of those, then it goes down to if they're in the top 5 or in the top 30%. There's quite a process to it, and it can be hard because you oftentimes have a lot of kids that fall right in that range, and it comes down to who you think is going to do the best or who's worked the hardest, or it's a hard thing to do. Even just picking your teams for a regular rodeo is probably one of the most difficult tasks that we face. It's hard, especially nowadays. There's so many good kids going to school everywhere that it's not easy to do.
Well, and I'm guessing that probably every coach or every college has a little bit unique style on doing that. Maybe that first rodeo is kind of a luck of the draw kind of thing, like, yep. Or you're using your team from last year if you're lucky enough to have some returners. But then once you get to this point, like I could see there being so many different philosophies or whatever you want to call it. Like I feel like the easiest way to do it and to take that like personal choice out is just do like most points. Yep. Most points goes on the team. But then you still get in those weird situations, like where so and so has been on the team all year, but they don't really have the most points, which So I can see that definitely being the most difficult part of the job.
Yeah, and when you get to that level, a lot of times whoever has the most points is who ends up going. But I know for us in years past, like you don't want to put all your eggs in the same basket either. So, you might not want to take 6 bronc riders because they're all competing at the same set of points, or
right.
So it becomes. I mean, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. It's a lucky thing. I mean, if you get the right guys or right girls at the right time, then it's your day. And if not, we could do it over again the week after the college finals is over, and it'd be a totally different thing. So
yeah, for sure. Well, and you just never know how people are going to perform at that level. I mean, maybe by this time in the season, you've kind of watched them. You've watched how they've managed the pressure, how they handle the pressure. Or maybe the pressure doesn't even do anything to them, and it's really just about the performance. So hopefully by now coaches have learned their students, have learned their athletes, and they kind of know what their triggers are, and they know how they're going to perform in the arena. Ish.
Yep. Ish, yeah. You still, until they get inside there, you don't know for sure how they're going to handle it, because, I mean, even though a lot of these college rodeos are, I mean, they're tough and it's a production, nothing's the same as the CNFR. So you're just, it's not, there's no telling what's going to happen, really.
Yeah, so I am going to repeat myself a little bit from our conversation with the Great Plains and with Jade, but do you guys tell me a little bit about what your season looks like as far as arena setup, and how is that different from what those student athletes are going to see at the CNFR?
So our region's pretty wild, really. We have probably some of the smallest indoor arenas that you can get into, and some of the biggest outdoor arenas that there are. We maybe have one setup or two that are fairly comparable to the college finals. We have 4 indoor rodeos and 6 outdoor rodeos. And most of our outdoor pins are pretty huge. So it's a lot different than going to the college finals. Like for the barrels and that. The rough stock, I don't think makes much difference. The goat tying, it's pretty quick at the college finals. The score's not very long. When we have anywhere from a score that's 60 foot long to 150 foot at Guyman. So you get to see a bit of every setup. I think this region does a good job of trying to prepare them for any kind of a setup. So
yeah,
it should be something that they can't handle, but it'll definitely be different than what they see all year long.
So in your experience, and especially in the timed events, when you were preparing for the college finals, did you alter your practice to try to mimic, the score is a little bit different, the box is a little bit different? I mean, or did you just like nod and go?
I guess I wouldn't say that I'm an over preparer. I kind of just have faith that I put in the practice that I need to do. Here at Panhandle, even when I was in college, and probably more so now, we have little jackpots and things, but we try to have different setups, different kinds of cattle, different everything, so that no matter where we send these kids, even if it's not a college rodeo, that there's a good chance that they're not going to face a situation that they haven't seen. So I guess you would say that, yeah, I prepared for it, but over the course of several years, not necessarily just right before the college finals.
Right. Yeah, and I think at this level, it's probably more on that. I've heard from different coaches that they will set up like between, a lot of regions have been done for a while. I think West Coast just wrapped up the first weekend in May, I believe.
Yep.
So some regions have been done for longer than that. And so I know some coaches will continue practice, but set it up very specifically, set their practices up very specifically to the size of the CNFR and the box and the score and all the things. And so I never did that. I just continued repetitive practice and, just trying to hone some fine-tooth things that maybe I needed to work on between now and then. But I never really gave much thought to arena size, even when I was running barrels. But my barrel horse was a little bit different. Like, he never saw barrels until we were at the rodeo. We just roped. So I feel like everybody's style is going to be a little bit different, even with the ground.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't think that setting that up is probably not a bad idea if you can get it done. Like, we finished the last weekend of April, and then pretty much school's out. And most of, like, at Panhandle here, most of our kids have stuck around for the summer, but we haven't done anything crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
I find that most of the kids that make it to the college finals, they kind of know what it takes for them to be successful. You don't really have to, as far as the actual practicing goes, you don't have to get on them too much or, make it too crazy. They kind of know what it takes for them to win. So
yeah,
I try to just stay out of their way when it comes to that.
So how many kids will you be bringing?
We're bringing 4. We're bringing 1 bronc rider and 2 goat tires and a breakaway roper.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Well, is there anything that, I do want to get your opinion or just have you talk a little bit about the new thing that's coming this year. We are going to be having it's not really a back number. It's an armband ceremony.
Yep.
I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it'll be pretty cool, really. Uh, my take on it is that kids are really changing. Since like when I was in college, I don't know that I would have thought it was all that interesting, but these kids kind of like a chance to get in front of people and have their picture taken. And so I think it's really cool that they're going to get a little more recognition maybe than they normally do. Not that I think we ever did a bad job of it, but
Yeah.
I think it'll be cool that before it all starts, they all get to hear their name, and
Yeah.
it might take some of the nerves out of some of them to have to go through that first, and then they'll
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah, that's where the nerves come in, and not Sunday or Monday
Yeah,
morning.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would say I think a lot of, obviously the NFR has been doing the back number ceremony for years, but to be able to watch it on TV, I mean, I think that, I hate to even say this, there are some good things that came out of 2020,
yeah.
and being able to watch some of those, the induction and the PRCA awards and the back number ceremony, like being able to see those, and when you're not able to attend the event, I feel like has built it up a little bit more. And then for us to be able to add it at this level, I
Yep.
think is just, I don't know, it helps us to bring the CNFR to the level that it already is. It is the Super Bowl of college rodeo. So
Yep.
let's start doing some of these more fancy things and more things to give back to these kids that have worked their butts off, and coaches for that matter, because I know it's no picnic on your end either.
Yeah, I think the more that we can do that people can watch and people can be a part of, to showcase I mean, all the great things that we do. It's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah.
I know it always comes with a little more work and a little more maybe confusion, especially the first time, but I
Yeah.
think it'll be something that'll be really good.
Yeah, I was thinking, how many kids like miss check-in because they've got rodeos or something somewhere,
Yeah,
and like you're going to be standing up there, Bueller, Bueller.
yeah,
So I totally just aged myself with that reference, by the way. Um, but again, like this is going to be the first year, so there's going to be kids that thought they could check in anytime between 1 and 3, and they're going to miss it. But hopefully, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about it, and probably we'll talk about it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday up to the event, just
yeah.
to make sure that whoever is watching knows that, hey, check-in's going to be a little different. So make sure you're reading all the things that come your way.
And honestly, I think it'll make the check-in process, not that it was a pain, but it was kind of, I think it'll make it better if they figure out that they have to be there at 1 o'clock instead of giving them a 2-hour window and then more than half of them showing up in the last 20 minutes. So
yeah,
I think
sure.
this first year may not be that smooth, but I think that once we get it figured out, that it'll be really good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, two things I will ask you: what are you looking forward to the most coming to Casper this year, and what's your favorite place to eat?
What I'm looking forward to the most is probably getting to see everybody. That's probably my favorite part of this job, is the people that I get to interact with. And it's always fun to go there. We kind of joke around here, Robert and I, that the college finals is really a vacation, because we've worked hard all year long, and we get there and we feel like, it's a lot easier. Also, we only have 4 kids to manage instead of 60, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. And then my favorite place to eat, I'm gonna have to say, is, I don't know, Texas Roadhouse. It seems like we eat there quite a bit while we're there. So.
Well, I got some recommendations for you, but I'm going to do it off camera because I don't want to be called out by anybody.
Perfect. Well, out here where we live, we don't have a lot of options. So when we get there, we're happy to
so
go.
Casper is like going to the city?
Yeah, Casper's huge. Like Goodwell itself, we have a gas station. So
I mean,
there's nothing here.
I'm down for a good chuck wagon.
Yeah, we could probably pull that off here.
Yeah, so we'll chat about good places to eat. And then I will also add, I'm going to be doing, as we get a little bit closer to the event, I'll be kind of highlighting some areas around Casper that if you are in town for the CNFR, maybe you would like to visit. There's quite a few things to do outside of attending the rodeo or competing in the rodeo. Shelby, you're probably an old pro at all the things to do in Casper by this point. So maybe you can come back on and join me.
Yeah, this is probably this will be my 9th trip to Casper. So
yeah, okay, perfect. You know exactly where to go and what to do.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us, Shelby. I appreciate your time. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. We'll see you, gosh, where are we, like 1, 2, 3 weeks out?
Yep, it'll be here before we know it.
I have too many countdowns because I have the countdown for when school gets out, like all the things going on at the same time. So yeah, about 3 weeks out, we'll say, but it's coming in fast. So I think the community obviously is supporting it. If you guys are watching, you can get your tickets at the Ford Wyoming Center. Box office number is 577-3030. It's just one of those numbers that you remember when you live here, I guess. I could tell you the Pizza Hut delivery number too, but I'm not going to. All right, Shelby, you have a good day and have a great weekend, and we will see you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, you guys, you never know what you're going to get or what you're going to learn here. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's not. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a pretty good live audience today. If you are rewatching and you have questions about what Shelby and I talked about or questions about the CNFR, please message us or comment on this post or on any platform, any of our platforms, and we will try to answer those questions as quickly as we can. Or if we don't know the answers, we know somebody that does, so we can make that connection for you. Again, if you are wanting tickets for the college finals, I will post a link in the comment section. Oh, let's see. Maybe I can tag them. Probably not. I will put the phone number for tickets. Okay, I'm trying to talk and type. It doesn't work well. Okay. Multitasking. That was hard. So the phone number for tickets to the CNFR is in the comments. So please reach out and get your tickets. If you can't attend every night, which we encourage you to do so you can kind of travel and follow along through the journey of how champions are made at the CNFR, at least join us for one of the performances. They are truly the most well-produced, it's the most well-produced rodeo that you will see. Super close, although I've not been to the NFR, I still know that the production quality is right up there with the NFR. So make sure you guys get your tickets. Hey, we also want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors. Of course, we want to, we want to thank all of our national sponsors at the national level for the National Intercollegiate Rodeo Association. Namely, we want to give a shout out to Cinch Jeans. They not only support the CNFR and the College Rodeo and all of our regions, but they also support Bullfrog Creatives and have been an early partner of ours 3-4 years now. So we're super grateful for them. So with that, we'll take you guys out with Cinch. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Perfection almost looks easy. But it isn't. Here's to those who go the distance.